and welcome to round 2 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast for the week of January 10th. I'm Catherine Alecco, and I'm here with Terry Morrow.
Hello.
Usually on this podcast, we talk about parenting issues, but once a week, Terry and I like to get together to discuss TV, movies, books, and other entertainment topics because it's nice to talk about something other than parenting for a change. And we are this week continuing with Ted Lasso, season 2. We're in the second half now of the season, episode 7, which is called Headspace, and 8, which is called Man City. So, Headspace, I would say the big plot was Ted trying and repeatedly failing to finish a therapy session with Dr. Sharon.
Yes.
And then she is she's hit by a car while she's on her bike.
That's the second episode.
Oh, that was in May. Really?
That was the beginning of Man City.
Okay.
The episode started with her in her apartment talking to her therapist.
Okay.
Yeah. But
okay.
We have trouble making that differentiation.
Yes, it's hard.
Especially since
Headspace
storylines.
Headspace, you get a lot of, Ted not dealing well with with therapy, and also Nate not dealing well with his little taste of success, and Nate kind of reading his own press in a detrimental way.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the Roy and Keely story is Keely's needing a little bit of space from Roy. And all of us pandemic people can relate to the fact that you are with your loved ones as much as you love them 24/7, 365.
Right.
It's not good.
Yeah. So, and everything, I guess, the Keely and Roy story is cutely resolved. Has he just developed over the course of a season and a half here into just the sweetest person ever?
He doesn't want you to know that.
I can't remember how he started out particularly, but
just grumpy.
He is just the dream guy. If you can overlook the cursing, which I think is part of his charm.
Right.
Not only did he was mad when Keely first said it, and then he processed it. He had a little epiphany out on the field when Jamie mentioned that he needed to give the player more space. Mm-hmm. And then he, sets up a bathroom with candles and roses and a playlist especially made for the purpose. And so he understands what she's saying, and he does something lovely for her.
Right.
I assume he's going to come back later and clean up all those rose petals because,
right.
Oh my goodness, is that going to be a mess? Those can't go down the drain.
Well, he did already clean all of his hair out of the drain.
Yes.
So
500 candles. And, but it was cute how he borrowed things from different people. Just a very caring fellow.
Mm-hmm.
And then more so again in the next episode, which we'll discuss. But, he's a completely adorable character. I'm not sure he was always that way. I'm not sure it's realistic. I don't care. I like it.
Right.
The Shop Forward, which I bought stuff from before, which gives some money to charity, but they have some Ted Lasso t-shirts, and one of them says, "I love Roy Kent." So he's got a fan base.
Absolutely. Yes.
But sure Nate. Oh, Nate.
Yeah. He's mean to a player. He's mean to the new kit man.
Yes.
They show that he still hasn't managed to impress his dad. So that's part of the problem.
Boy, this is turning into a series about daddy issues, which I guess most sports stories are. It was funny. For my husband's birthday, I got him the Baseball 100 by Joe Posnanski, who I listen to on the podcast and enjoy very much. And I asked my husband if he would want this, and he said, "Oh, I probably won't agree with it." But I got it for him. And of course, he immediately picked it up and started looking at it. And he said at one point, "Boy, this book makes me glad that I had such a good father, because some of these athletes have terrible dads." And I said, "Oh, yes, in Ted Lasso, Jamie's father is really awful. And we find out that he says terrible things to him and all that." So I guess this is a motif in sports of guys with terrible fathers, other than Sam, whose father
Sam has a lovely father.
But Nate's father is no picnic either.
Right.
Doesn't hit him, but other than with words that are hard and blunt.
That sting.
Yes. But Nate, oh goodness. I mean, in the one, I think some people have felt that it's uncharacteristic because he was a nice guy in the first season, and now he's getting to be kind of I can't think of a word to use for it that I could say in a podcast. Roy Kent, would you come help us? No, but that first time when he first spoke up for himself, when he wrote that list for Ted, and then Ted had him read them out in the locker room, those weren't like meek and polite and sheepish comments. Those were stinging and blunt and kind of nastily put. And we were all supposed to go, "Yay, Nate,
right.
Look what's in their butt." Yeah, that stuff has been, he's a short guy with a mean dad who's been bullied by a lot of people, including his current teammates. There's a lot of bad stuff in there.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be coming out over the course of this season.
Sharon.
He really, really does.
Yes.
Because it doesn't seem out of character. It just seems like it's been bottled up for a long time. And, sometimes what comes out ain't so nice.
Right.
So I don't think I'm going to have fun watching that part, though.
Yeah.
Maybe believable, but not enjoyable.
Right. It's more fun to just watch Roy.
Yeah. Yes. At least they continue to cut to Roy being adorable. Right. And Higgins also oftentimes being adorable. You just that little bit of, here's a person with a happy life. Have we commented before that he's like the Jerry Gergich of the show?
Yes, we have. And he is for sure. Although they're not as mean to him as they were.
No, they are not. They are not as mean. And his wife does not look like Christy Brinkley, but she still seems to be a charming person.
She still seems cute.
And he's into her. So less cartoonish, equally adorable. But anyway,
even though his office is in a literal broom closet now.
So not concerned about that.
No, he doesn't care.
It's lovely.
He sees the bright side. He says, if I spill, I have everything I need to clean it up.
That's the way to look at it. So that was Headspace. Is there anything else in that we need to talk about? It just rolls right over into the next.
Yeah.
Was the entire Rebecca and Sam thing in the second episode, or was it in? No, the whole of Headspace, she was saying, should I see him? Should I see him? Should I see him?
Yes. And it was very cute how they were all the team was sort of watching his phone and seeing the three dots, and then the three dots would go away. Yes, that was sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, you've got mail-y set up here where they're going to meet someplace, but I was afraid that she would see him and then leave. But as we move on to the next episode, we can discuss that.
Well, I think we're ready to go there in Man City. So that's that storyline. She finally agrees to meet him, and to meet her banter match.
And then for a little while, they just assume that coincidentally they just were at the same restaurant. Isn't that funny? Ha ha. And then they realize, and she finds with horror that he was 21.
21.
I've been grooming you. I was grooming you. But of course, they decide to, Sam talks her into just having dinner with him, just as,
since we're both hungry.
People who know each other and they're both
Right.
hungry, and they have one of those having a wonderful time montages where there's laughing and there's drinking wine and there's more laughing and there's, but then she sends him firmly away when he walks her back to her house.
Right.
And then that is the day, I guess, before the big game, which goes spectacularly badly.
Very, very badly.
Yeah, not even a glint of hope. Just right out from the bat, they're getting squashed.
Right. And of course, the game for the TV show is condensed into all its worst moments.
Right.
It's just low light after low light.
Oh dear. Yes. So that's sad. But afterwards, Sam gives an interview. And when Rebecca sees it later on the TV, he's saying like, you have to at least try, even if things don't work out, you still have to. Important thing is putting in the effort and all that stuff. And of course, that immediately sways her.
Right.
Because aren't we all just swayed by things that interviews we see on TV? But also, let's just also admit that, oh my goodness, he's cute. Come on, Rebecca.
Yeah.
If you were Rupert and she was 21, you would hit that. But
yeah.
So she very cutely, she texts him and or does he text her? Anyway, they're texting. And
she texts him to,
"Are you around?" And he texts back his address.
Right.
And so she immediately starts to head out the door. I'm thinking, put on something more comfortable. That dress doesn't look that good. But anyway, she starts to run out the door. She opens his door and there he is standing there looking, oh, so adorable.
Yes.
And she says, "Why did you send me your address?" And he said, "For next time." Aww. And
it's like we're back in the romantic comedy episode.
We are. And it's wonderful. And I'm so happy for the both of them. And I bet they have a lot of things in common, despite being, we don't actually know Rebecca's age, but a little bit age difference.
Right.
But I read, you had pointed out to me that Linda Holmes from Pop Culture Happy Hour and many other things has been doing recaps of this. And I went and read her recap and she was like, "It's so cute. It's wonderful. I bet they would have a great time. But you know what? She's his boss and has his career in her hands. And we ask people with power not to do things like sleep with the people that they employ." Mm-hmm. And yet, well, of course, I'm sure it'll be, but no, really, it's not right.
Exactly.
It's really not right. Even though she said, were the genders flipped, it would be icky. Mm-hmm. But were the genders flipped, it would also be incredibly common. So yes. Let her have a little fun before the conscience, will you please? And he's also dreamy. So yes. We shall see what happens with that. I kept saying, please don't let there be a tabloid photographer. Please don't let there be a tabloid photographer. I was every time they were lingering in front of her door, I was going, "Get inside.
Right, go inside." Yes.
I just imagined that coming out right in the big game, but no, it didn't happen. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Ted Lasso people, for not doing that very, very obvious, horrible thing.
And, they're pretty good, I feel like, about not doing that.
Yes.
Too terribly often.
I'm most grateful because I was just bracing for it.
Mm-hmm.
So then in other news, as you were mentioning before, Dr. Sharon got hit by a car.
Right. She was riding her bike.
This is like that thing where if you have two characters on a TV show having a conversation in a car, you're always about 75% sure they're about to be T-boned. Mm-hmm. And she's riding her bike. And the more she's riding her bike, I'm like, she paying attention to where she's going?
Well, she has earbuds in too.
Exactly. She doesn't seem like she's paying attention to where she's going. I hope she doesn't get hit by a car and then she gets hit by a car.
Yeah.
So people watch TV. It will give you useful tips of things not to do.
Right. And somehow her phone calls Ted as part of it. Just kind of happens that way. I don't think she intended.
And then but then she calls him many, many, many more times when she has a concussion and says goofy things.
Right.
Which, okay. I'm not by that, but okay. So anyway, he's there to pick her up.
Concussions are funny things.
And her doctor, before she got on the bike, we heard her talking to her own doctor, who said that the reason she was having trouble with Ted is because she needed to be vulnerable with him, and because they had a lot in common, that he deflects with humor, she deflects with intelligence, and that it would be helpful if she was vulnerable with him. So, hey, here she is with a concussion at the hospital.
Here she is with a head injury. Yes.
And she continues to deflect, but finally she does admit to him. He's calling her once she gets home. He takes her home and then calls to make sure she's still okay with the concussion. And she admits to him that she was afraid. And so that's the little chink. And then,
and also he notices
many bottles.
Quite a few empty bottles in her apartment.
Yes, that was a vulnerability that she did not know she was sharing, but she did.
But she knew he noticed.
Yes. Yeah. So that sort of resolves itself at the end of the episode after the horrible loss and father-related development we shall discuss in a minute. Ted runs outside as though he's having another panic attack, but in fact, he's calling Sharon to tell her that his father shot himself when Ted was 16.
Right. We had known that his father died when Ted was 16, but now it's revealed that he died by suicide.
Yeah. And we had previously only known a delightful anecdote of him teaching Ted darts so that he could beat the vile Rupert at his own game. And so that's something definitely dramatically that we did not know about Ted before. And okay, it's like, I hope they pay this off in a way that will be worthwhile having dragged this in. Because it seemed to me like the death of his marriage could be sufficient for Ted to be going through some stuff. I don't, if we're bringing in this is a pretty heavy duty thing to bring in. And is it going to be a show about that now? Except that it's just, is it going to be a show about the damage fathers do to their sons? I guess. Feel like I've seen that show before. Timer, 200.
A few times.
But anyway, there's that. Well, that's out there now. And
that is out there.
Let's see.
Well, so you mentioned the father-son incident that was just awful to watch was Jamie's dad coming to their match.
Yes, first asking Jamie to get him tickets to the match so he can root for the team that's playing against his son's
or the other team. Yes. Arrives in full regalia from Man City with his two cronies. And is, just obviously horrible, as we've seen him before.
Right. We saw that scene where he was yelling at him for not having made the goal himself and having assisted somebody else. And we have had the sense that his dad was not nice. And quite a long time, Jamie was not nice. And then when we found out about his dad, we go, oh, and now we know even more.
Right. So he comes into the locker room after the game and he is just being awful. And Jamie is handling it quite maturely for a very long time until he cannot continue to do that and punches his dad in the face. Which
very satisfyingly.
Entirely deserved. And
so then Beard
Coach
gets the dad out of there.
Escorts him out.
And Jamie's just standing there. Yeah, escorts him.
Not in a gentle manner.
Right. Not like an usher, but like a bouncer.
Yes.
And Jamie's just kind of standing there. And the show's
no one knows what to say.
Yeah. Yeah. And the show's most adorable fella. Roy Kent. Gruff Roy Kent, who's hated Jamie Tartt's guts for pretty much this entire series, goes over and gives the guy a hug.
What is the line? He's here, he's there, he's every effing where.
Yes. Yeah. So it was heartbreaking. Yeah. Yeah. And Jamie is slowly but surely becoming a real boy. And I hope that will continue. And, for the whole team to see that. But I imagine many of them have similar stories. Wasn't when they did the burning of precious objects to remove the curse? Somebody, I think it was maybe Roy, had a dad-related story too, or something about a rough family situation.
Okay.
I think I could be remembering that wrong. But Jamie definitely said something about, I think, the way his dad treated his mom and him or something like that. But so these roots of this daddy stuff run deep, but we're sure going to be getting it. I wonder how Sam's dad would feel about him dating the boss. Perhaps he should vet that first, just to make sure that he doesn't have to later have a protest against her.
Right. Later change everything.
Oh my. But so this episode was 45 minutes long, I believe.
Yeah.
The episodes are getting longer.
They are getting
always
longer.
like, I just need an hour. I can knock out the 2 episodes and we can talk about them. And it's like, I start watching and it's like, I've been watching for 15 minutes. Why is there still a half hour left?
Yes. The streaming show.
Yeah.
They can do what they want.
I don't know that there's necessarily anything I would have taken out, but could it have been 2 other episodes? I don't know. There was also the delightful comic relief bit of Roy being called into Phoebe's teacher because go figure, Phoebe has been cursing.
Amazing.
And the teacher says, where do you suppose she could have gotten that? And he's like, well, I don't know. And she looks at him. It's like, oh.
And now that is the woman who we saw. I think it may have even way early in the season. We were like, who is she supposed to be? Is she like another?
Oh, was she? Was that her?
Yeah.
That was Coach
her.
Lady? I did not know. How wonderful to see her again. It was the teacher. Oh, I like her, especially after they left and she used an expletive to describe the glitter that was sticking to her hands.
Right.
So I like that girl.
And she also agreed with Phoebe that the kid that she called a rude name, kind of deserved it.
Yeah.
I mean, she didn't agree to Phoebe's name, but she agreed with Roy.
So we understand that she is a realistic sort and not judging the situation. Just you have to do something about this or else she's going to be kicked out of school. Right. So,
and Phoebe sensibly agrees that she will try to make that change.
Yes. That was an adorable scene between them. I'm using that word a lot. Very nice scene between them in the car. And she was saying like that she's like the best of him or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh man. Kudos to that little actress. She's just nailing it. Without seeming like a child actress. So good for her.
Yes, exactly.
And let's see. So at some point, okay, the part about Nate apologizing to Colin and then them giving him that shirt, was that in this episode or the previous episode?
I think it was in this one.
I think it was in this endless 45-minute episode that had
Man City. Yeah.
Countless plot threads. But yes, so Nate is being his newly acerbic self and is pretty nasty to, it's Colin, right? The
player is Colin. And then later he's nasty to
he's nasty to Will the kid. Yeah. But anyway, so Beard takes him aside and says, you need to cut this out. And then sort of Nate goes back into his little more timid self. And so he apologized to Colin, and then the team, a little bit later, the team all together gives him a jersey that has Wonder Kid on the back, which is when he was being interviewed right after he did his very good play in Colin. Like a couple of episodes ago, and just getting tons of good recognition for it. But he was interviewed and he said, it's not like I'm a Wonder Kid, when he meant Wonderkind, right? But he definitely said Wonder Kid.
Mm-hmm.
And they got him a jersey that said Wonder Kid on it. And you could tell that was, he says, well, that's not really what I said. And
right. Instead of leaning into it and
exactly, and
just
saying, hey, I made up this thing and it's fine.
Yeah.
And then they tell him the fatal error that they tell him that it was Will's idea, the new towel boy or whatever, water boy. And so then Nathan he's looking at his good press again on his phone. He sees one mean tweet, and then he goes and he just is awful to this kid. So maybe he needs to punch his father, and then everything would be okay.
Somehow, I don't think that's going to solve Jamie's problem either.
No, probably not, but it'd be satisfying for a couple of minutes, right?
Yes. Although, Nate's father he's so like distinguished. I wouldn't
mind punching him.
Yeah.
Just set Roy up as the designated puncher of all damaging fathers. He will punch your dad, and then he will give you a hug.
Right.
This could be a useful coaching service.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So much trauma.
Yeah.
Well. So 4 more episodes now?
4 more episodes. So next week we will hit episode 9, which is called Beard After Dark.
Oh my.
And episode 10, No Weddings and a Funeral. That is not necessarily something to look forward to. I don't know.
No. But Wonder who.
I
thought at first I had seen some reference to funeral. I don't know if I saw that episode title maybe or something. And then when the psychiatrist got hit by the car, I thought, oh no, is it her?
Right. No,
but apparently not, unless she's got a hemorrhage there, so we don't know about. But
right.
No,
she's still with us for now.
Yes, and they remembered that there was a guy who played a character called Trent Crimm from The Independent.
Yes,
and they just had him like the tiniest of cameos, and then out he went. So glad he's still out there.
Mm-hmm.
Glad that actor got another paycheck. Good for him.
Right.
Show's drawn to a close, man. Lobby for all the cameos you can get.
Oh, don't you think there's going to be a season 3?
Oh, probably. I would think. I haven't heard, but I think IMDb thinks there's going to be.
Yeah.
Okay. I imagine. At some point, they're going to like win a big game, though, right? At some point, that's going to happen.
Well, they won the big
one
game
of these big games
that Nate helped them
but that wasn't a big game. That was a game and good, and they've won games, but every time
but isn't that the game that got them into the game against Man City?
I guess. Yeah. So. But still.
That's not what the show's about, Terry.
I don't want that to be the last game they win, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. True.
Maybe I need to go see Dr. Sharon and say, I watch TV shows and I want them to win, even though I know it's made up.
Yes. Well, we'll find out when we watch the next 2. And that will be it for our round 2 today. Please subscribe to our Parenting Roundabout podcast so you won't miss any of our episodes. We have something new for you every weekday. As always, you can find recaps, links, and an opportunity to comment on our website at parentingroundabout.com. Bye, Terry.
Goodbye, Catherine.
Goodbye, everyone.